Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, and today we're going to talk about triangles, specifically the wedge-shaped triangle, the mighty Strv 103B, Tier 10 Swedish, hydraulic-powered, press your X kind of TD. This is a goofy one. Doesn't have a turret. It's kind of a casemate, but the whole hole turns in order to take a shot. The gun is locked in right there. It uses hydraulics and the movement of the hole to aim the gun. This one is a tricky one to use. I think it does take a little while for people to get used to it, but because of its reload being in the 5-6 second range, depending on how you have it set up, absolutely brutal. Doesn't have a massive alpha. In fact, I think it's, what is it, 400, 420, something of that nature. Even worse, 390. But you see I go into siege mode by hitting X, and now I can kind of spin the entire hole around, and it lets you do things like this. Bounce. Woo, that was great. Oh well, whatever happens. It's the hover medium, and I probably hit the turret at an angle. We're going to bail out of that. These things are susceptible to artillery, guys. Remember, when you're in siege mode, you are much slower. I am running a turbo, a bounty turbo on this thing. That does let it scooch forward and backwards, even while in siege mode, faster. I find that to be very, very beneficial for this particular tank. So we're here on Himmels El Haloofdorf, and I take up a fairly typical TD spot initially, looking for a free shot. I got one, but I didn't get any damage out of it. That's too bad. But I'm looking at this going, you know, this 140, he's sorted, right? We got two chars. We got a Jagdtiger, a Grille, a Foch, and there he goes. He's gone. Very nice. So that looks to be the sum total of their push over there in the south. So I'm going to come over here to the middle and see if there's somebody foolishly running around the middle. Looks like the 13105 is, but I don't want to scooch down this hill too far, get spotted by the AMX and nuked by the corollary to me sitting on the other side, such as the WT and any other TDs that might be sitting there, plus the aforementioned artillery, which loves to drop shells on top of the flat-topped Strvs. Not really a heavily armored tank, but extremely angled. Now I'm going to take up this position. Initially, guys, I was going to reposition up here onto the hill in the heavy brawling area over here. This tank does have some capability, especially on this top part right here, of getting into hydraulic mode or into siege mode and scooching up and taking shots and scooching back. Problematic with two artillery in the game, because really you want to be up against the side to do that, and it's a little bit ungainly, a little bit difficult to do. And as I look at this, I am thinking, man, we just don't have the beef over there. Completely outnumbered and guys on low hit points. So I decide to take up a more conservative position over here and kind of hope that they're just going to push in. The problem with that hope is it's kind of hoping that our team dies off and they come around the corner. That's not really the best way to put it. It's hoping that our team does enough hit points of damage to them that when they do inevitably come around the corner, I can start taking them out. We'll see how that goes. 113 dies. We get the 113. All right. Starting to consider maybe coming around to help them. We do have an Emil up there. We got the Renascarante. But the Progetto takes another big hit. And based on where everything is positioned, I just don't see, with the two artillery on the enemy team, that our team's going to have a very good time of it right here. So now they're starting to push up and over, and this is where this position is going to start to pay dividends and shine. Their T-30 dies. I noticed down the south there's still a pretty good scrum going on down there. They do have some campers hanging out. Artillery continues to come in and wreak havoc. So I think I would have rather got up there and tried to help them out, but after dithering a bit, watching what's happened, obviously it's well past the time to be able to do that now. They're taking all kinds of hits as they're sitting there, and I am having a perfect game of 0-0-0. That's why this tank is problematic. Difficult to use in some cases, but now you're going to see where its strength lies. Very accurate gun, no problem hitting this guy. Here comes a WZ. We'll just snap that off. Notice I just basically spun over there and took that shot. I did get lit. If you can avoid that right there, if I'd have been, or at least pulled back into the bush a bit, get that 15 meters. I don't know if that's actually possible right here. We'll see if I sort that out. It's quite the drop there behind. Snap that one off. Watch how fast this reloads. Boom. All right, yep, I expected that. I knew the artillery would see me. All right, so I am 15 meters from this dude, so that's allowing me to get these shots. Working out very nicely. He knows where I am. I'm just going to shoot blind. We take that dude down. Now I've got to scooch up to kind of get my view. Notice that I don't have max view range. Doesn't have great view range, this tank, and I'm not set up for that. 15-16 bales, and it's essentially me right here. I'm really hoping that nobody comes around to my left, but we got the mouths, and we'll just start picking away at that guy. Unfortunately, just not quite far enough back, and that's what I was talking about earlier, whether I can make that happen or not. Look how fast this thing reloads. Just boom, boom, boom. We're firing the gold round. I've got to come up here to spot him. I do get a couple bounces in here. That one doesn't get him. I do get thumped by the Conqueror. The Conqueror. Come on, baby. Fix them tracks. Get in here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now that's a problem right there. There we go. Got the track fixed. If you are knocked offline in this tank, i.e. offline of your aiming, say you're tracked, you're in really bad shape. Whereas a normal casemate could at least have a little bit of field of regard in its gun. This one has none. So you're locked into the position you're in. We just absolutely eat this guy for lunch, taking the majority of his hit points here. I have to come up to get down here. Oh, that's no good. And he dies. There's a bounce from the char. We'll back out of this thing. And we've kind of made a bit of a comeback. We've got 3,840. The rest of the team does a nice job cleaning up a few of them. They've got a char, a T-30, a Minotauro, and an Udez 15-16, plus 2 artillery. And I'm considering right here, how long do I want to sit in this bush? I'm actually going to drop back here, just in case he already decides to drop one on that bush. And I'm wondering where the char is. I mean, the char coming charging in there could easily get around me, but he is a one-shot. So I'm going to take a peek. I don't see him. And I back out. I'm like, all right, he's already going to take a shot at this bush. If I was already, and there was nothing else going on, and it looks like there isn't, I might take a stab at this bush. Look at that. Boom, and he actually shot behind it, which was a good idea on his part, and I only get stunned. So very lucky that I backed on out of there. Pretty good aiming point by the artillery. We got the T-30 down in the middle. And again, I'm worried about where the char is. I would like to reposition and get somewhere smarter. There we go. T-30 is getting whacked. The Grillet's taking a peek at him. The Grillet gets thumped. The T-30 gets dead. And we're hoping the Grillet gets out of this thing. We'll go ahead and go into sniper mode again. I was thinking about running. Or siege mode, I suppose, is a better way to say it. Back to travel mode, and we'll go ahead and get on out of here. I'm hoping I can get out from behind this bush, get in through here without being seen by the char, which seems to work. Remember, backwards on this thing is quite fast, as is forward. So once you get into travel mode, you can actually go backwards very quickly. And again, turbo helps out with all of that good stuff. So now we've got to figure out how do we get a little aggressive with the Udez here. A little reposition, little triangle action, right? So you've brought your triangle into the end game. You like the way things are going. You move around a little bit. This guy's stuck or just sitting there. I'm not really sure what he's doing. Oh, looks like he was, well, hard to tell because it was the arty that killed our char footer. I'm going to bail out of that. And again, their char future, that's the thing that's worrying me. It's so fast, has good view range. I don't have very good view range at all with my setup. And I see the grill moving across the middle. So I'm going to come all the way over here and see if the grill can light something up. Very surprised he survived this. But he made it, and our char's going up their ramp. So what I want to do here is reposition my triangle, get the old wedge of death somewhere nearby, see if I can help them and get some shots if they light some guys up. Notice that the Grill A is just outside of my draw range. So I set up initially thinking, all right, I'll support the grill, but then I realized, oof, I can't see him. If anyone pushes him or he lights somebody, I'm not going to be able to see it. And even the Char Futur is starting to outrun my capability to support in terms of draw range. And neither one of them died, so I don't really think anyone's on this front edge. There goes the grill. So the Char got him. The Char was way over there. He's well outside of my capability to deal with. So I'm really hoping the 15-16 and our Char can deal with him. And there's the Minotauro. That was huge SA right there. The Minotauro down at about K3 or so, and there's their artillery. The other artillery is probably up there as well. And right now I'm a little bit worried. I need that char dead. There he goes, and that means now I can go ahead, get on my horse, take the old triangle forward, bring the wedge. Careful driving this thing. It is a little bit wonky. It is very easy to turtle these. Their artillery dies. And now we'll push on in here. So the Minotauro is in a position I'm well familiar with, and probably you are too. There's a rock and a bush right there. It's kind of a last-ditch defense for triangles, mostly really anybody, but you'll most often find the camping TD sitting back there as the rest of his team has died because he sat back there the whole time. The trick here, though, is to find him without him finding me first. I have a couple mediums over there which probably have his attention. And one thing about a Strv going forward is you might expect it at this part of the game, but as a general rule, the Strvs don't do a whole lot of pushing. So we'll come over here and see if we can find this guy. So oftentimes, the point being is you can surprise the enemy with moving a Strv forward, getting in position, and starting to harass or take shots or spot. Now, a Minotauro is probably going to nuke me. We'll see how that goes for him. If he finds me, especially if he shoots me in the side. So I'm kind of hanging out here. I'm like, all right, where is this guy? I'm in a good spot for him. Already takes a stab. Let's back out. And I think, you know what? I think I can come around to the right side of this little dune here. Since I was already up to speed going backwards, I just decided to stay with it. We'll just come up here and set up. And then he moves. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Go into siege mode, spin around, start shooting him. Try to go for the track. He sees me, so he's spinning to take that shot. We'll track him, and if I die, great. No big deal. And we actually bounce that shot. Very nice. And I get a little bit more assist up to 1,310. Got 4,605 damage. And actually, I believe there's a little extra damage in there from a blind shot. There is. That's right. I killed the T-57. So we're over 5,000, I believe, damage on this particular game. In fact, there might be 2 blind shots. I'm not sure in there. And there you go, man. Just a little discussion there on the triangles, which I am running a couple of them right now for my 100 Battle Challenge. I'm up to 70-something games, I believe, in this tank for the 100 Battle Challenge. Getting a little bit more comfortable with it. Starting to learn a little more patience. That's been something big for me recently, especially running TDs more than I usually do because of the 100 Battle Challenge. Being a little bit more careful, conserving hit points, and then working that mid to late game. I've had pretty good success with it. It's been a short run in terms of that, maybe in the last, I don't know, maybe month there, with a quite a high survival rate. And when you get that high survival rate, when you have the mid to late game hit points, it allows you to make good decisions later on to help your team win. And I can't stress how important that is. You still need to get damage down range. I still find myself sometimes being too far back or too passive, which you may find hard to believe, but it does happen out there. So that's a fine line. Got to be careful with that. But I think in the aggregate, in the big picture, I'd rather have a little less damage and some more hit points at the end of the game to make good decisions to win than have a bunch of damage and be dead and not be able to affect the win. You know, that 7,000 damage game, you died halfway through, and then your team ends up porking it away because all that's left are the bad players who camp. There you go. A couple things to think about. There you go. TDs. We'll have some more information on the old triangle out there. I've got a couple more games to show you guys in the near future. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your support, and we will see ya.